Hello and welcome back. Now, on Wake Up Nigeria, one of my favorite segments is the book chat, and I get to do it this Thursday. Yay! We have a really great piece with us, something that's informative, educational, and I think extra special, and it's going to be something that you're going to really take interest in. It's called Getting the Best Out of Your Medicines, and it's written by a pharmacist. His name is Kenneth Etokakpan. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Yay. And it's one of those books that I have a feeling I'm going to be having on my shelf. He has 7 years of experience in pharmacy, and he's going to be talking to us about this step-by-step guide on how you can effectively use medicine to your general health advantage. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, well done, and thanks for putting this together. I went through the table of content, and I just looked at the chapters. It gives me, a little quick look, an overview into what your book covers. And one that struck me was this issue of how to detect fake medicines.
Right.
Right? And I want to touch on that because it's like a pandemic on its own.
Right.
Fake medicines and fake drugs out there. So I want to touch on that first. This issue of fake drugs, in your field, how bad is it actually? And how can we prevent ourselves from falling into that?
Yeah, that's a very, very important question because fake medicines are quite rampant, especially here in Nigeria. And I think from research, it's showing that over 15% of circulating medicines in Nigeria are counterfeit, right? So it's quite important that one takes notice of how to detect fake medicines. So how would you define fake medicine? Fake medicines are medicines that do not actually take out or do not carry out a therapeutic function, right? So as a result of that, the ailment is not cured, the person still continues with the symptoms, right? So it's important that one gets medicines from only certified pharmacies or drug dealers, right? That is quite important. And it's quite rampant these days that because a lot of people try to take advantage of the healthcare system and try to push out fake medication. So, and if one takes fake medication, it's possible that one person could actually lose his life, right? So it's quite important that one is very aware of how to detect fake medicine. And actually in the book, I talk about how to detect fake medicines.
Yes, I looked at that list. It says here there are different levels of counterfeit medication,
Right.
including but not limited to medicines with incorrect ingredients.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Inaccurate quoting of the number of active ingredients.
So
So some might be inactive,
Yeah.
some might be active,
Yeah.
but the ingredient is there.
Yeah.
You also said here manufactured in facilities that lack quality control.
Very true.
Okay, you also say here expired medicines relabeled. So all of these fall into that bracket
Yeah.
of fake drugs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for example, I want to use a very popular example. So let's say paracetamol, right?
Yes.
Paracetamol is supposed to be 500 milligram.
Yeah.
So a fake medicine could say, oh, this paracetamol contains, instead of 500 milligram, says 200 milligram.
Yeah.
And labels it as 500 milligrams. So as you're taking it, it's just like you're taking powder into your system, and it doesn't actually cure the headache or the fever in which you're taking it for, right? So that's an aspect of fake medicine, relabeling of medicines
yeah.
and incorrect labeling. That's.
So you also, there was a line I saw here. You said something about medicines also being equal to poisons
Right.
in certain cases. So talk to us a bit about
Yeah,
that.
so I like to say that medicines could be poisons or therapeutic depending on how you handle the medicines and the dosage in which you take them. I like to use this example again, paracetamol,
Yes.
right? So paracetamol is supposed to be taken maybe 2-3 times a day,
Okay.
right? And each tablet contains 500 milligrams. So, but you're not supposed to take more than 2 grams in a day. That's a regular 2 grams.
2 grams.
2 grams.
Okay,
So each tablet is 500 milligrams. That means you're not supposed to take more than
Okay. Four. Okay.
4 tablets in a day, right? That could be very harmful because over 2 grams of paracetamol could be harmful to your liver, right? And the liver is responsible for breaking down medications and making the body absorb these medicines. So it's so important that we are aware of all these things about medicines.
So let's talk about the mistakes people make with medicines. Now,
Right.
whenever I watch American movies, you see that they have a medicine cabinet in their bathroom, or they keep medicines in the fridge. So how here in Africa are we making mistakes? What are the most common mistakes that we're making with medicine?
So the most common, I would like to say, is not completing your medication, right? So, for example, antibiotics are quite rampant these days. And, for example, if you have an infection, you want to take an antibiotic to be able to cure the infection, right? And a very common mistake is if you start taking the medicine and you feel better, the person suddenly stops taking the medication. That is wrong, because that could lead to antimicrobial resistance. What that simply means is that the bacteria has changed form and the medicine no longer works for the ailment. So as a result,
if I take 5 out of 7 tablets, I never
start to.
I have to take the 7.
You have to complete it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite important because, for example, antibiotics, which is a very important medication, because if we have an ailment for an infection and you are taking an antibiotic to complete it, right, it's so important that you complete the dosage so that the bacteria can be eliminated completely from the body system. Okay. Because if it's not, so if you stop at maybe 5, that means that the bacteria is just weakened, right? It's not completely eliminated. Okay. And as a result of that, it could mutate. We call it mutation. It could mutate and become stronger and comes out as more prevalent illness or sickness, right? So it's so important that we complete our dosages and our medications.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on that word poison again.
Right.
Because there are a lot of, especially parents, who are, giving their children certain medications, maybe for the common cold, or maybe even if it's malaria medicines. Yeah. And you said here that there's a difference between medicine being therapeutic and poisonous. Yeah. What is the difference? So
the difference is, like I said earlier, the dosage taken of the medicine is so important. So I like to use paracetamol because it's quite rampant. Everyone takes paracetamol at some point, right? If you take more than a certain dosage of paracetamol, it becomes a poison in your system. It could harm your liver, right? And it's so important that we all know this excess limits that we are not supposed to exceed, right? So that is the difference between a drug being therapeutic and being poisonous. If you do not take the dosage as it's recommended by your doctor or your pharmacist, it could end up being poisonous, right?
Okay, can we talk about that little paper that your doctor gives you?
The prescription.
The prescription.
Yeah. Right.
That's the word. I was trying to think of the word. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But the prescription, how important are those prescriptions?
Yeah, super, super, super important. So we like to do a campaign against self-medication. So if you go to a medical doctor and he gives you a prescription, he has actually diagnosed you and seen all your symptoms, and in his clinical knowledge is able to write out medications that will be able to treat your illness. So if you take all those medications according to the prescription. So, for example, a doctor could write, take paracetamol maybe 2-3 times a day. Yeah. And you're supposed to follow that prescription judiciously so that you can get better and the illness doesn't come back. It's quite important because the body is able to recognize all these medicines. And as a result of a lot of research by pharmaceutical scientists and pharmacists, they are able to also know the particular dosage and the particular concentration of the drug. That is why the doctor is able to write those exact prescription in those manners so that the body is able to recognize it and get better. You
know what? We can see and feel the passion you have behind this. Thank you so much for putting this book together. It's called Getting the Best Out of Your Medicines. Yeah. Kenneth Etokakpan here, the pharmacist that put it together. You've done a really great job with this.
Thank you.
I think we should invite you back one of these days to come and talk to us
about
pharmaceutical matters. Yeah. Everyone needs to learn a thing or two. We have to head over to another segment now, and MM is standing by with our chef.